Hello, and welcome to another iClone 7 Academy tutorial. Today's topic will be importing Sketchfab models and taking them into iClone. We all know that Sketchfab is a great source for PBR content. However, some of these models come with different types of PBR workflows. There are three main types of PBR workflows. The first one is the metallic roughness, which is the one that iClone uses, as well as Unreal, Sketchfab, and Marmoset. The second one is the metallic glossiness or smoothness workflow, which is being used by Unity and Sketchfab. And the third one is Spec gloss or specular glossiness, and this is being used by the CryEngine, Unity, or Marmoset. Now, let's take a look at how we deal with these different workflows, shall we? So the first thing you got to do is go into Sketchfab. You're probably going to have to create an account, and then you can go ahead and go after these models that we're going to work with. Now, if you don't know how to get to these models, you simply go to Explore. Once you are in there, you're going to go to Filters first and go Downloadable. This will give you a list of the downloadable available models. Otherwise, you might select some models that you can't actually download. Next, you can go here into the search parameter, and let's say, for example, we want the boar beetle, right? So let's type boar and beetle, and we should be getting that pretty soon after the search. There it is. So click on it to open it, and next, after you get your model load in, you can go ahead and inspect it and check it out. Very nice view port over here. And over here you go for download. So click in there, and and then just download the file and then unzip it somewhere in one of your folders. Now you will notice this is a DAE format or collada format. So this is not something you can bring into 3D Exchange. So you're going to have to convert this before you take it into 3D Exchange, before you can take it into after you take it into iClone. So the way you do this, you can use Blender, for example, to convert that model from collada or DAE to OBJ. Now, if you don't know how to do this, you can go here. We've done a tutorial here on iClone 7 PBR New Rendering System. And if you go to YouTube, just do a search for this. Go to the minutes, 16 minutes, and in there I'll show you step by step how to go into Blender and how to convert that collada file into OBJ. And then after that, you just take it into 3D Exchange. So let's go ahead and I already downloaded all these models. We're going to download 4 models. One is going to be the boar beetle. The next one is going to be this cool Mass Effect M8 gun, and the reasons we're doing this is because the boar beetle is using the metallic roughness workflow. The Mass Effect is using the metallic gloss workflow. Then we have this cool car called Pony Cartoon, and this is using the Spec gloss workflow. And the Flamethrower is a variation of that as well, which is another Spec gloss workflow. So first of all, I want to say a big thank you to these great authors that shared this for free. It's fantastic. I want to make sure their names are not butchered, so I'm just going to show you the name of the authors here. And next, let's go into iClone and start putting their textures in the right place and converting them so that iClone can have the same material response as here as in Sketchfab. So let's go ahead and go into iClone next. So after you downloaded all those models, let's go ahead, and I'm going to start with the Beetle, which is our main metallic roughness workflow there. So let's go ahead, and I am going to bring the model in just by dragging it into the window, like so. Alright, and now I'm going to tell it to go to the origin of the world there. Again, this model was taken into 3D Exchange first and then saved as an iProp, okay? So that's very important. So in 3D Exchange can take either OBJs or FBX. Alright, so now let's go to the materials and let's start getting this things working. Alright. So let's bring in the textures in here. So as you can see, we got our textures here in the window here, and I am going to go ahead and put it over here and start dragging them in the proper place. So the albedo is the base color. So let's go ahead and drag that into the window there. Okay, we got our base color. Next, we go for body AO, which is for ambient occlusion. Let's put it in the AO channel. This is a very straightforward. Next, you put the metallic into the metallic slot right there. Okay, next we go for the bump or normal and put it into bump and make sure that this goes in the normal. Click OK. Alright, we got the normal in there. Next, let's take this and we go for the roughness, into roughness, of course. Okay, so we are pretty much there for that. Notice that the materials are behaving the correct way throughout over there. There we go. Next, we'll do the wings, doing the exact same thing as we did before. So we select the wing material first, and then let's go ahead and start dragging those things in. So for wing albedo, we'll just drop it into the base color. Wing metallic, we'll just put it in metallic. Wing opacity, we put it into the opacity channel. Wing roughness, obviously in the roughness. And normal, lastly but not least. And click, let's make sure we select normal and select OK for the wings. Okay, and now maybe add a little bit of opacity to the wings to give it a little transparency there. So this is our iClone version of the board Beetle, and this is the version inside Sketchfab. So pretty darn close. It's not going to be perfect because they're using a different IBL, but the material response, as you can see, both in iClone and Sketchfab, behave the same way. So this one is done. Alright, now let's go ahead and go. Now this was the metallic roughness workflow. The next one is going to be the metallic smoothness or glossiness workflow. So I'm going to go ahead and load the gun in here. So let's go here and let's go to source, mass effect, and let's go ahead and drag in the gun in there. Alright, now let's zero it out so it goes in the right place. There we go. Nice. And now let's start dragging the textures. Okay, so this one's going to be a little bit more straightforward simply because there's only one material to deal with, so that's going to be pretty easy. So let's go ahead and bring in the this is obviously our base color. Next, the ambient occlusion map, we'll put it there. Next, we'll deal with the metallic or metalness, and we put it into the metal. And then now we'll deal with the gloss material, the gloss texture. Now this is the part that sometimes gets a little confusing, but actually it's quite simple. Every time you have a gloss texture, all you got to do is double right click, so you open the UI for the adjust color, or you can click on this icon over here and you go invert. And you will see now that our metal is behaving like metal right there. So all we're missing now is that bump or normal map. So let's go ahead and drag that in and make sure we do select this as a normal and click OK. Fantastic. So there you go. There's our gun. And let's take a quick look over here in Sketchfab for the gun. And as you can see, we have a pretty good close representation right there. The metal is looking like metal, and inside iClone as well, again, it's not going to behave exactly the same because we have the different IBL that's being reflected on this model, but the material behavior is correct. The painted areas are duller, and the scratch or weathered out material where the paint is removed, you see the raw metal there, so it's nice and shiny. So so this was the metallic gloss workflow. Alright, so this one's done. Let's move on to the next model. The next one is going to be the car. Now the car is using what is called the Spec gloss workflow. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at it in Sketchfab first. So this is the car. We are moving the IBL right now, and as you can see here, it has glass, it has an interior and exterior. So basically 3 materials that you're going to have to deal with. Alright, let's go into iClone and deal with the Spec gloss workflow, or specular glossiness workflow. Let's go and check out go to the source folder here for the car. Okay, and let's drag the model in. Now I'm going to reset to 0 there. Now this model came with a floor, so we are going to get rid of that floor or ground simply by making it invisible. So let's just go ahead and just zoop, it's gone. Alright, next let's deal with the body of the car. So this one we already put the base color, but as you know over here is quite simple. All you got to do is just drag this this texture in there into the base color, and that's all there is to that. Next, we're going to deal with the specular. The specular, you put it inside the metallic channel. And then the glossiness, of course, you're going to put it inside the roughness channel. Okay? And what you do, again, in here is we are going to invert that. Okay? So let's double right click, invert. There we go. And that is that. Okay? So that's quite simple. So all you got to do is make sure when you have a glossiness map, just take it into roughness and invert it. Now we can do that. We're going to do the same thing. Let's see if we have there is no normal map or bump map. However, there is one body illumination. This goes into the glow channel. So it's kind of cool because you can make the headlights glow. So that's a cool cool little trick to use over there. And next, let's go ahead and go to the interior of the interior material. As you can see, we already put the base color, so we're going to skip that one. And let's go to the specular map, interior S for specular and put it into our metallic. And interior gloss, of course, we're going to roughness, and then we are going to invert that. So double right click and invert. So now it has the proper behavior right now. Now we can't see what's inside because obviously the glass material is very dirty right now. So what we can do here is simply just go to the window material, and we are using the same base color as the car here. But what we're going to do here is for the roughness, we're going to take that away so we can have some nice shiny glass. So I'm going to double right click, and we know that in order to take away the roughness, we got to make this dark, right? So that's all there is to it. You just take the brightness all the way down, and now we have some super shiny glass over there. And now what we're going to do is add a little bit of transparency. So let's add a little bit of opacity there, so you can see the interior as well. As you can see, there's a nice interior right there, and we're using some nice IBL here to create those nice reflections on the glass. So, and you can see here the glow map working, beautifully over there. So we did that. Remember, we added in here, so you can control that by selecting it, and you can control the glowiness of the car there, so you can turn on the headlights on and off. Kind of cool, huh? All right. So this was our spec gloss workflow, and this is pretty much done. So what we're going to do next is get a variation of spec gloss, because sometimes the materials might say one thing but may not actually work exactly like you expected. So let's go ahead and explore that, shall we? Alright, so I'm going to open up another file over here where we're going to use over here there is a model called Flamethrower right here. So let's take a look at the materials, how they came with that. Alright, so let's go ahead and load that model. So let's go to our source folder. And here, go source, and go to the Flamethrower. Okay, so what do we have over here? Now let's go ahead and bring in the model first. Alright, let's reset it so it's in the center. There we go. Alright, so this model already has the base color assigned to it, so we don't have to deal with that already. Now we did this inside 3D Exchange, so it didn't come like that. So just to give you a little heads up. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the gloss, of course, into the roughness, as we've done before. And here's the catch. This particular gloss is working correctly without you having to invert it, because if you try to invert it, it's going to make the material dull. So sometimes you just have to, you really, just don't go automatically and say, oh, it's a gloss, so I need to invert it. Check out the material and compare it with the one in the Sketchfab site, so that way you don't, you get the proper behavior. So let's put the last few textures that are left in here. So the specular goes into metallic, and we also put the normal map in there as well. So let's go ahead and click OK. Alright, and this is our model here. Let's check it out in Sketchfab, and we should be okay. So it looks a little shinier here, but then again, it's also using a different IBL, and it's using a different background too. However, if we want to make it shinier inside iClone, all we have to do is go ahead and bring in this, bring out the brightness, and we also need to use and take down some of the roughness out of that, so that it becomes shinier as well. So it becomes a little shinier as well there. And again, there we go. See, it's all a matter of how you catch those highlights. So You got to use the same IBL in order to get the exact same behavior, but as long as the metal behaves the same way, then you are pretty good right there. So this, we might want to actually take some of the saturation out, and that's pretty much it. That's all there is to it. Those were the 3 types of PBR workflows, and I hope this really helped you guys out. Sketchfab is a fantastic source for PBR models. Use them. You know, there are some very generous artists out there allowing you to use their models. So use them for your films and stuff like that. I mean, as long as you're not selling stuff, they're probably perfectly okay. You know, just make sure you read the ULS. You know, for the different type of models, each one, sometimes they allow you to use it commercially, and sometimes they don't. So make sure you read this so that you know if you can use it for something, for some commercial use. And other than that, you're golden. All right. So this will conclude our tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you in the next tutorial. Until then, have a good night. Take care.